How's it going, Year 7s? We are going to look at our loop composition. Over the last few weeks, you've been looking at the Ableton Learning Music site, and this is the endpoint. This is where you're going to put all your skills together so that you can create a 2-bar loop composition. That's what we're going to go through step by step today. If you haven't looked at each of these chapters, you should have looked at them already. You will need some of the knowledge so that you're successful in this composition. Anyway, let's have a crack at this one. First thing you need to consider is what style or mood you're composing. If you're composing a boppy country piece, the decisions you make with what it sounds like will be very different to a hip-hop trap style piece. So it's important to think about what style you're doing first. I've chosen a piece in a D minor key. So I've chosen the key, which is going to be D minor, and I've set the tempo at a slightly slow tempo, maybe about 80, because hip hop tends to be a bit slower. If you're looking at pop music, something which is really poppy and bouncy, you might crank up the tempo to like 110, 120 or so, but for me, it's going to be a little slower, so 80. Now, one thing we want to go through before we start putting any notes on the page is the concept of space. With music, it's not the more the merrier. Often, each layer needs to have some amount of space. Don't just spam the notes and make them play crazy stuff. It doesn't make it sound good. You want to make sure each layer has the right amount of notes. And so often, it might work when you've got shorter ideas. You might even just play for the first half and not play for the second half to give space for the other instruments to play and so on. So just consider that when you are working through each of these layers, and try adding a few more notes, taking away a few notes to see if it's the right balance, because a balanced piece of music is a good piece of music. All right, we're going to move on to chords. I'd suggest starting with the chords layer. Of course, if you haven't looked at this chapter, make sure you look at that first so you understand the ideas with chord writing. I've already chosen my key, which is D minor. So first thing that you will need to do is to click on D minor or your chosen key on each of these. That makes sure that they're all lined up with the right notes, and things are going to sound in the same key when you put them together. We're starting on the chords layer, and so I'm going to start by writing a chord in the home key. Okay, so you will start with a triad on the home key, but you can change the order of the notes. For example, I want a slightly lower kind of sound. So here's my opening chord. Pretty straightforward. Move to another chord or chords. The piece is going to be a bit boring if the whole thing was just a D minor chord. So you can try different things. For example, you can even play the same note twice to add a bit of rhythm to it, but it's important that you move it on as well. So I'm going to move to another chord, a step higher, and then over here I want to do a G minor chord just to change it up. So a long G minor chord. I might even add this note just for a bit of flavor in there. You can try different things. Let's see what it sounds like. Okay, I like that rhythm. I'm going to copy that rhythm. Whoops. And I want to move up another step. Let's try this one. Let's go up to an A. Okay, there we go. Let's try this. So I'm pretty happy with that layer. So you can notice that when I'm playing this piano part, I'm doing the chords, but there is space in there. You don't have to hold for the entire note, and so on. Moving on. Next layer I would suggest you do is the beat. Let's keep this rolling, and we'll go up to the beat now. Compose a beat which suits the mood. Whoops. Okay. So, as I said, I'm doing a hip-hop style beat. I tend to like lots of closed hi-hats. I reckon I want to do something like this. Whoops, let's start again. You tend to have that's pretty groovy. So that's an example of a beat which kind of works. I like that, that's cool. And over time you can edit that a bit further. Alright, on to the bass line. So now I'm just going to pause this for now. Now with the bass line, you also want to build it around the home key. Notice that I've got two things happening in my music. I start on the D minor chord, and then it moves somewhere slightly further away, and then it returns back to D minor. So my bass line should do something similar. Now I like a good active bass line. Let's make it quite jumpy. Oops. And I like the sound, how sometimes these short notes really make it punchy and quite funky, so I like that. There we go, check this out. Alright, let's see if this works. Kind of works. Now, just one thing I want to mention about this website. You got to make sure when you start, they will try to sync it up, but sometimes if you don't do it properly, you can see these two lines don't quite line up. They come in a 2-bar phrase, so make sure if you want this to start at the same time, you got to wait till it's the second half before you hit the start button. So now the two lines will be lined up. Yeah, and likewise with the chord, you can line it up that way. So just check that the lines are lined up and they're not, you know, they're playing the wrong bar and so on. Alright, let's move on to the last bit, which is the melody. Now, writing a melody is similar to the bass line. Have this, work out where the space is. You don't need to play the whole time, but once again, based on the key. Our completed piece. Final step is to record your work. We're going to use a screen recorder to record the sound as well as what we see out of this website. So to do that, we'll be using Scree.io. This is a free extension you can have on your Chrome browser. You can also use any other screen recorder of your own choosing. I'm going to be using this one. All right, click on record the screen and system sounds, start recording. It's going to ask you what you want to record. Well, I'll record the whole screen for this, and make sure you click on share system audio so that we can hear the sounds coming out of the browser. All right, so it's recording. All right, now that it's recording, all you need to do is cue all of the tracks to make sure they are lined up. Alright, so then make sure you display each of the tracks sharing. Okay, what we've got here is the recorded video. All you need to do now is check that it works. Pretty good. And hit the save button. And then you'll see there's a file which has popped up here. That's your work. All right, so here is the file that we downloaded. Rename it to your class name and your name so that we know it's your work. Then this file goes into the assignment Dropbox in Google Classroom. Once you've done that, you are all done. So we hope you've enjoyed making a bit of music and you've learned a lot along the way.